Hello to all my beautiful designers and welcome back to my channel. Today's DIY video is actually going to be a 2-for-1 special. I am going to be showing you how to transform a regular old black tray into one of these beautiful designer trays using our Cricut Explorer Air 2, which is actually a request of a few different viewers. I hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, I'm Michelle. DIY designs. Let's get it. So here is my tray. We are going to cut, and I just got to shine it up a little bit. I painted it and I had to put some powder on it because it was still a little tacky. So now I just need to put some orange oil on it. And once I put my resin on top of it, after I put my logos, it'll be beautiful. We're gonna do our CC here. We're gonna do Chanel here. We're also going to cut vinyl to go on the top around the edges, which will be white. And I think I'm probably gonna cut some vinyl to go inside of here. That will also be white. So I'm gonna set that right there. I'm gonna set this inside of here. A couple things you'll need getting started. Of course, your Cricut, your mats, some permanent vinyl. I'm using Oracle 651 white. This is just a piece that I have that I'm gonna use. So that scissors, the tools that come with your Cricut are, and you have to excuse mine are filthy, but I've got my scraper, got some really good scissors. These are my two favorite tools that I use all the time. Your tape measure. And then, like I said, your Cricut and your mat. So let's get started. Okay, so this will be a tutorial on how to use our Cricut and make the tray. It's not actually a tutorial on how to maneuver inside of Design Space. And if you are wanting that, feel free to request that and I will make sure to get that done for you guys. So once you are inside of Design Space, this is what it looks like. You are going to need to upload your photo. As you can see here, these are the images I have. If I click View All, you guys can see the very many images that I have that I've used before. We are going to do Chanel and Gucci. So those are the two images that I'm scanning for. I'm gonna go ahead and select. I've got a couple different Chanel ones, as you can see. Just depends on which ones came out better once I turn them into SVG files. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and select this image. We're gonna go ahead and insert this image into Design Space. Once you bring the image into Design Space, this is what it will look like. Every time you add an image in, it's gonna come in black, and you can see here, this is how you change the sizes. You could also use this unlock button, which would show you how to stretch the image if you needed to. Okay, we're not gonna deal with any of that today. We're literally going to just be working with this contour button over here, which I will show you in a second. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go up and we're gonna change our color on this to white. because that is what color vinyl we're using. Changing the color inside of Design Space is purely for visual effects, because it matters what color the vinyl is once you get the vinyl on the mat, okay? So really it could be any color when you're inside of Design Space. You want to always make sure that your image is on the no fill here and not on the print, okay? Because we don't need to print. If you needed to change your color to a certain color, you can always click on Advanced and change the color there. Okay, so if we hit contour, you'll see all these pop up. If you hit hide all contours, you can hide everything except for the part of the image that you would like to use at that point. And as you can see, when I hit hide all contours, it actually took the center of the CC out. So I'm gonna go ahead and hover over that. I'm gonna select that, and that puts the cut part back in. So I am going to use, the size of this is actually going to be 6 in width. That is gonna go into the center of the tray. So I'm just gonna go ahead and change the width over here to 6. Now what we're gonna do is a nifty little trick. We're gonna actually select the image. We're gonna duplicate this same image. I'm gonna pull it over so you guys can see. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my contour button again. I'm gonna hit hide all contours, okay? And now I'm going to actually select the A, and I'm going to take away the CC. Did you see how I did that? Now I can go and select all of the letters that are in Chanel because I want those, okay? So I'm just showing you how to do that. But yeah, so I hit hide all contours again, and then now I have my Chanel. Okay, and I've already measured. I want my Chanel to be 8 in width, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this width right here. I'm gonna deselect that. I'm gonna put 8.0, and boom, it's gonna make my Chanel that is gonna go on the front side of my tray 8 inches in width. Okay, so now we have both of those pieces. The next part that we're going to do is going to be the top of the tray and the inside of the tray that we are going to use white vinyl for. It's just entirely too difficult to try to paint, so it's better to cut and use vinyl. The sizes that I'm going to be using are, okay, so the sides of our tray are 12 inches long and 16 inches long. The inside of the handle is 8 inches long, and all of them will be the 0.05 wide. But here is a quick tip about the Cricut. You can only cut as large as your mat is. So because I only have 12 by 12 inches mats, those dimensions we just talked about, we're actually gonna cut those in half. So instead of doing the 12, I'll cut those into 6 and just double up, and then the 16 inches, we'll cut those down to 8. Okay, so now that we know the sizes that we're gonna use for the sides of our trays, we're gonna go up to another nifty little trick that I love to use. We are going to select shapes. And when we select shapes, we are going to select the square. Once you select the square, you're gonna go ahead down to this unlock button down in the corner. And we are actually going to change this to the size that we need. As you can see here, when you hit the unlock button, it allows you to stretch, but we're gonna come up here to the width and the height, and we're gonna go ahead and make these. Okay, and so while I was making this video, of course, I made the goofy error of not remembering that I cannot cut larger than my mat. When your mat is only a 12 by 12, I think it will only let you cut an image that is maybe like 11.5 wide or, you know, long. So I'm gonna leave this part of the video in just to show you guys what ends up happening. So I'm doing my 12 inches wide by my 0.05, okay? And I'm gonna need 2 of those. I'm gonna go ahead and hit duplicate on that. So there's 2 of those. I'm gonna go ahead and change the color on both of those to white, okay? And now I need 2 pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and hit duplicate again. And I need 2 pieces that are going to measure at the 16 by 0.05 wide, and I'm gonna need 2 of those, so I'll be duplicating that image again. And then our last one is going to be on the inside of the handles, and that one is gonna be the 8 inches by the 0.5, and I'm gonna have 2 of those. So now the next step that we are gonna end up doing after you guys see my crucial error, once we have our dimensions, we're gonna go ahead and save our project. I'm gonna name this one Chanel Tray. Go ahead and hit the save button. This would normally be where we go and we cut. So we're gonna click make it. And when you click make it, you see there's an error message that pops up top. At least one of your images is larger than 11.5 in height. So we're gonna have to come back and we're gonna have to split the ones that are longer than the 11.5. So these 2 images that are the 16 inch, we're actually gonna split those both into 8 each. And then our 2 pieces that are 12 inches wide, we're gonna split those 2 into 6 each. Okay, so now that we've got all that done, when we hit make it, we see we don't get that horrible error message, and you can see how it lines it up on the mat. I always come and pull my images kind of away from the edges just because I'm not really comfortable, and I've had some mistakes happen before, so I just kind of pull them all the way from the edges, kind of just make sure that they're still all the way on the mat. And before we go any further, if you guys are enjoying my video, please don't forget to give it a great big thumbs up. Don't forget that when I get to 500 subscribers, I have a bunch of giveaways, so please like and share my video. Jump back onto our computer. We're gonna go ahead and hit continue now that everything's ready. When you hit continue, you're gonna see it's gonna make you select your materials. I never mess with the dial that's on the actual Cricut. I always leave it on custom, and then I select my materials here inside of Design Space. So usually for vinyl, I always just click this very first premium outdoor vinyl, but if you wanted to browse all materials, there's millions of materials, and it's very important, you guys, to make sure that you are going and selecting the material that you are cutting on, or something as close as possible, because that will determine the pressure that the Cricut is going to use for that blade. Here is where you can change the pressure. You see it has default, less or more. I'm going to leave it on the default. I am going to then go ahead and come down and click fast mode so we can get this cut as fast as possible. You are going to make sure that you always put it So we've got our sheet ready. We're gonna go ahead and put you guys have vinyl that doesn't really want to lay flat, a great trick and tip is to just put a little piece of tape on it to get it to lay down flat. And the tape will not get in the way, and even if it does get in the way, the Cricut will just cut right on through it. So. Taking your materials off of your mat, watching a few tutorials, I learned that it's always best to hold the material down and peel the mat actually away instead of doing it the other way. It just works better like this. So you can see, boom, we're gonna do that. Not to do any extra cuts. So, boom, there's our CC. Weeding, I watched a couple tutorial videos they suggest to reverse weed. And reverse weeding would just mean that you, instead of weeding the top way, you do the bottom way. I do it a lot when I'm doing heat transfer vinyl. When I'm doing regular vinyl, kind of don't need to do all of that. So you're just gonna use your tweezers. You're gonna pull off all the parts that you don't need. Going to make sure that you get rid of those. Don't leave them laying around. They're super sticky and you don't want them to get stuck back into your design and mess everything up. Do that. We now have our CC. I'm gonna go ahead and weed that. I'm going to cut my Chanel off now. I think for my strips, I'm actually going to just pull them off instead of using any. Easiest way to do this instead of trying to do it the other way. Okay guys, once you have your image, you're gonna go ahead and make sure you grab your measuring tape just to double check and measure so that you're making sure that your center of your logo goes in the center of that. So I'm just gonna use that to put a little dot. Then I'm going to actually take my transfer tape and I'm going to put a little fold in it, which is also something we use when we're doing the heat transfer, so you know where the middle of the image is. And I'm just gonna go ahead and line it up and place it right on the tray. Once we do that, we're gonna go ahead and peel off, and I peel off this way, like I said, because you're gonna try to get your letters to stick on. So there, I needed to help that one a little bit. Grabbed it. That's what I was saying about the duct tape brand, but normally if you use your scraper, there's no bubbles in it. Okay guys, once you guys are sure that your image is all the way down in a perfect world, you're just gonna go ahead and peel your transfer tape up. The idea is that your letters are supposed to stay down and the transfer tape is supposed to come off. As you can see, I had a little bit of trouble. I had also just painted this tray, so it wasn't sticking as well, but it did end up working out just fine. Okay, so you guys can see how it lined up. It looks great. I do have a couple little spots where my transfer tape pulled the paint off, but I am gonna go back and touch those up with some black paint before I put my resin on. Remember what I told you about your transfer tape, that it is reusable. So now I am going to use that same transfer tape to go ahead and grab our CC logo for the middle of the tray. And you can see me here just smoothing it down like I did to the other one. I'm also going to use my scraper to make sure I get any bubbles out and just making sure that the transfer tape is actually grabbing the image. And you guys, if you guys use a better brand of the transfer tape, you will not have to worry about the letters not sticking on to whatever it is you're putting it on. The duct tape brand is the best brand, and you won't have those issues. This brand that I'm using here actually came from the Dollar Tree, and it's a little too sticky, okay? Okay guys, once you get all of your strips added around the sides and inside of the handles, the next step is to resin your tray. I did not do this on camera, but I did make sure to show you guys the final results. I hope you guys enjoy, and let me know if you try out this DIY. And as always, don't forget to purchase any of the items from my DIY channel. You can purchase them at my online shop, mymgifts.bigcartel.com. And thank you to all my beautiful designers for your support. And until next time.